The massive doors of the War Council chamber opened with a loud hiss. Steam poured out from the sides as 5 humans walked into the room. The chamber was huge, bigger than any building the humans had ever seen. Strange lights hung from the ceiling, casting purple shadows across the floor. Commander Hyun-ki walked in front of the group. His face showed no fear, even though he was surrounded by creatures that could crush him with one hand. Behind him came Captain Bo-Ram, a small woman who looked like she weighed less than most alien children. Her eyes moved quickly around the room, taking in every detail. Sergeant Tae-ho followed next. His uniform was clean and pressed, but his boots showed signs of many battles. Corporal Mi-sun walked beside him, carrying a small bag that seemed too light for military equipment. Private Jinwoo brought up the rear, looking young and nervous but keeping his head high. The aliens in the chamber began to laugh as soon as they saw the humans. The sound was terrible, like metal scraping against stone. Admiral Vextar stood at the center of the room, his forearms crossed over his chest. His skin was dark blue and covered in scales that caught the purple light. His eyes were yellow and had no pupils. "So these are the famous human warriors," Vextar said. His voice sounded like rocks falling down a mountain. "The great soldiers of Earth that we have heard so much about." More laughter filled the room. General Keithmore stepped forward from the shadows. He was even bigger than Vextar, with thick armor growing from his skin like a shell. His mouth had too many teeth, all sharp and white. "Look how small they are," Keithmore said, pointing one massive finger at the humans. "That one looks like she could blow away in a strong wind." He was looking at Bo-Ram, who stood perfectly still. "And their weapons," another alien called out. "Where are their energy shields? Their plasma cannons? Do they plan to fight with sticks and stones?" The humans carried simple rifles on their backs. To alien eyes, the weapons looked ancient and useless. The creatures in the chamber had fought wars across the galaxy. They had conquered hundreds of worlds with weapons that could melt mountains and ships that could destroy planets. Hyun-ki stepped forward. He was tall for a human, but still came up to only the chest of the smallest alien in the room. "We are here as requested," he said. His voice was calm and steady. Yes, Vextar waved one hand. "The newest members of our great empire. Tell me, human, what makes you think your species can contribute to our military might?" "We have experience in warfare," Hyun-ki replied. The aliens burst into laughter again. One of them, a creature with tentacles for arms, slapped the floor with its limbs. "Experience in warfare? Little human, we have been fighting wars since before your son was born. We have weapons you cannot imagine and armies that stretch across the stars." Bo-Ram spoke for the first time. Her voice was quiet but clear. "How many wars have you fought on your home world?" The question surprised the aliens. They stopped laughing and looked at each other with confusion. "Homeworld wars?" Keithmore asked. "Why would we fight wars on our homeworlds? That would be wasteful and stupid." "Humans have fought thousands of wars on Earth," Mi-sun said. "We have been fighting each other for as long as we have existed." "That proves you are primitive and savage," an alien with 6 legs said. "Civilized species unite their planets before reaching the stars." Tae-ho smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "We united our planet too, after we learned everything there was to know about killing each other." The aliens did not understand why this would be important. They had conquered their worlds through technology and superior firepower. They had never needed to develop the skills that came from fighting equals who could think and adapt. Jinwoo looked around the room at all the advanced technology. Computer screens floated in the air without any support. Energy flowed through clear tubes in the walls. Everything was powered by forces the humans did not fully understand yet. "Your technology is impressive," Jinwoo said. "Of course it is," Vextar replied with pride. "We are the masters of the galaxy." "Our science is perfect. Does it ever break down?" Jinwoo asked. "Never," Vextar said. "Our systems are flawless." Hyun-ki and his team exchanged quick glances. They had learned something important. The aliens were completely dependent on their technology. They had never learned to fight without it. "We would like to prove our worth," Hyun-ki said. "Give us a mission." Keithmore's terrible smile grew wider. "Oh, we have the perfect mission for you, little humans. There is a fortress called Axiom Station. It guards the most important military secrets in our empire. No enemy has ever gotten inside." "What would you like us to do there?" Bo-Ram asked. "Break in," Keithmore said. "Disable their defense systems. Get to the central command room." The other aliens began laughing again. They knew Axiom Station was impossible to attack. The fortress had energy shields that could stop any weapon. It had sensors that could detect anything moving within 1,000,000 kilometers. It had an army of the best soldiers in the galaxy. This is not a real mission, Vextar explained. This is a test. We want to see how quickly you fail. Then we will know where to place humans in our empire, perhaps as janitors or food preparers. What happens if we succeed? Hyunki asked. The aliens laughed so hard that some fell over. The idea of humans succeeding was the funniest thing they had ever heard. If you succeed, Kethmore said between laughs, then I will personally make you my military advisor. And if we not only break in but steal your military secrets too? Teho asked. This made the aliens laugh even harder. Kethmore had to hold his sides to keep from falling over. If you do that, impossible as it is, then I will make you the head of our entire military. When do we start? Misun asked. Right now, Vextar said. We have prepared a ship for you. It has just enough fuel to reach Axiom Station. If you fail, you will be trapped there forever. Understood, Hyunki said. As the humans turned to leave, the aliens continued laughing and joking about them. They made bets about how quickly the humans would be caught. They discussed what kind of work humans would be good for after this failure. But none of the aliens noticed how the humans walked. They moved like a team that had worked together for years. They communicated with tiny gestures and quick looks. When Boram stepped slightly to the left, Teho automatically covered her right side. When Jinwoo stumbled, Misun was there to steady him without even looking. None of the aliens saw how Hyunki counted the guards or how Boram memorized the room layout. They did not notice Misun studying their biology or Taiho examining their weapons and armor. The humans had been gathering intelligence from the moment they walked into the room. They knew how many aliens were present, what kinds of technology they used, and how their command structure worked. They had identified weaknesses and begun planning their approach to the mission. As they walked through the corridors toward their ship, Jinwoo whispered, "Did you see their computer systems? Completely automated," Boram whispered back. "No manual overrides." "Their armor has cooling vents," Teho added quietly. "Standard weak points." "They have never fought an enemy that could think like them," Misun observed. Hyunki nodded. "They are about to learn what human warfare really means." The ship they were given was old and barely functional. It had outdated navigation systems and weapons that looked like they belonged in a museum. The aliens expected this to make the mission even more impossible. What they did not know was that humans had been fighting with inferior equipment for thousands of years. They had learned to make every shot count, every move matter, and every advantage work in their favor. As their ship left the station, the aliens settled in to watch the entertainment. They expected the humans to fail within hours. They had no idea they were about to witness the beginning of a new era in galactic warfare. 3 days passed before the human team reached Axiom Station. During those 3 days, they did not sleep much. Instead, they studied everything they could about their target. Boram sat in the pilot seat, but she was not just flying the ship. She was watching the station through their sensors, learning its patterns. Every 12 hours, supply ships came and went. Every 6 hours, patrol ships made circles around the fortress. Every 3 hours, the sensors swept the area in a specific pattern. "There," she said on the second day, pointing to a spot on her screen. "The sensors have a blind spot. It only lasts 17 seconds, but it happens every cycle." Teho was studying the station's structure. The fortress was huge, like a small moon made of metal and weapons. It had thick walls that could stop any normal attack. But Teho was not looking for places to attack the walls. He was looking for places where the walls had to be thinner. "Maintenance shafts," he said, marking spots on a map. "Every building needs them. Even alien fortresses need ways to repair and clean their systems." Misun had been working on something that smelled terrible. She mixed chemicals in small bottles, creating compounds that would confuse alien senses. Most of the creatures in the galaxy use smell to identify friends and enemies. If she could make the humans smell like the station's regular workers, they might walk around without being noticed. Jinwoo spent his time taking apart their old weapons and equipment. He was not trying to fix them. Instead, he was building new devices from the parts. His fingers moved quickly as he connected wires and chips in ways that should not have worked. "What are you making?" Hyunki asked. "Computer viruses," Jinwoo said, "but not the kind that just break things. These ones learn and adapt. They will figure out how alien systems work and then take them over." On the third day, they were ready to begin. Boram piloted their old ship toward the station, timing their approach perfectly. She had memorized the patrol patterns and knew exactly when to move. The Galactic Dominion officers watched from their command ship, far away from any danger. They had cameras following the human ship, expecting to see it destroyed within minutes. "Look how slowly they move," Admiral Vextar said. "Are they afraid?" "They should be," General Kethmore replied. "Axiom Station has never been breached. It has the best defenses in the galaxy." But Boram was not moving slowly because she was afraid. She was moving slowly because she was being precise. She guided their ship through the patrol routes, staying exactly where the sensors could not detect them. When a patrol ship came close, she hid behind floating debris. When the sensors swept their area, she was already somewhere else. "Impossible," one of the alien observers whispered. "How do they know where our patrols are?" The humans had learned the patterns because they had been watching and thinking for 3 days straight. The aliens had created their patrol routes to stop attacks by other aliens, who would use brute force and advanced technology. They had never planned for enemies who would study them like scientists. Boram found the maintenance tunnel that Teho had identified. It was barely big enough for their ship, hidden behind the station's main engines. She flew through it like threading a needle, her hands steady on the controls. The tunnel led to a small docking bay inside the fortress. It was used for repair ships and supply vessels. Boram landed their ship next to several other craft, making it look like just another maintenance vehicle. The 5 humans put on the disguises that Mi-sun had prepared. They wore alien work uniforms that she had stolen from their first meeting. She had covered them with chemical compounds that made them smell like the station's regular workers. When they stepped out of their ship, alien guards were nearby, but the guards did not look twice at them. The smell was right, the uniforms were right, and humans looked enough like some alien species that they did not stand out. Yunki led his team through the station's corridors. He moved with confidence like he belonged there. The other humans followed, each one carrying equipment that looked like standard repair tools. The station was enormous inside. Corridors stretched for kilometers in every direction. Thousands of aliens worked at different jobs maintaining the fortress and its weapons. The humans walked among them without being noticed. Jinwoo carried a device that looked like a simple tool scanner, but it was actually analyzing every computer system they passed. He was mapping the station's network, finding ways to get inside their most protected databases. "The central computer is 3 levels down," he whispered to the others, "but there are smaller systems on this level that connect to it." Teho was studying the station's defenses from the inside. He saw where the weapons were placed, how the shield generators worked, and where the power systems ran through the walls. Every detail went into his memory for later use. Mi-sun watched the alien workers and guards. She learned how they moved, how they talked to each other, and what made them suspicious. Humans were good at reading body language because they had been doing it for thousands of years. "The guards change shifts every 4 hours," she reported quietly. "There are always 3 minutes when the new guards do not know what the old guards were watching." Boram was memorizing the entire layout of the station. Every corridor, every room, every exit. She had a gift for remembering maps and could picture the whole fortress in her mind like a 3-dimensional puzzle. After 2 hours of walking around, they had learned everything they needed to know. The aliens watching from their distant ship were getting impatient. "What are they doing?" Kethmore asked. "Why have they not tried to attack anything yet?" "Maybe they are lost," Vextar suggested. "Humans probably cannot understand our station's layout." But the humans understood the layout better than most of the aliens who worked there. They had spent 2 hours studying it like it was homework. Now they were ready to begin the real mission. Yunki gave a small hand signal. It was time to stop being sneaky and start being soldiers. Teho moved first. He walked up to a group of guards and smiled at them. When they looked confused, he hit them so fast they did not have time to sound an alarm. His moves were precise and efficient, learned from fighting other humans who were just as smart and dangerous as he was. Jinwoo found a computer terminal and plugged in one of his devices. The virus he had created began spreading through the station's systems like water flowing downhill, but it was smart water that learned about everything it touched. Mi-sun released a chemical compound into the air system. It would not hurt anyone, but it would make the aliens confused and scared. Their own biology would work against them as fear chemicals flooded their brains. Boram took control of a security station. She began changing the patrol routes and camera positions, sending guards to empty corridors while the humans worked in areas that were no longer being watched. The first alarm finally sounded 20 minutes later. But by then, the humans had already taken control of 3 different systems and disabled half the station's internal communications. The aliens watching from their command ship could not believe what they were seeing. The humans were not just infiltrating the station, they were taking it apart from the inside like they had been planning this for years. "How are they doing this?" Vextar asked. His voice was no longer confident. "They are using our own systems against us," an alien technician reported. "Somehow they have learned how our computers work." "That is impossible," Kethmore said. "Our technology is completely different from theirs." But Jinwu's viruses did not need to understand alien technology. They just needed to watch how it worked and copy it. Like humans learning a new language by listening and practicing. The station's commander, General Thexival, activated the emergency protocols. Blast doors slammed shut throughout the fortress. Armed soldiers ran through the corridors searching for the intruders. But the humans were no longer where they had been. They had split up and were moving through maintenance tunnels and service corridors that most aliens did not even know existed. Boram's perfect memory of the layout let them stay ahead of every search party. When the soldiers found the unconscious guards that Tejo had defeated, they realized they were not dealing with normal infiltrators. These humans had moved through their most secure areas without triggering a single sensor, until they chose to reveal themselves. "Lock down everything," General Thexival ordered. "No one moves anywhere without authorization." But his orders could not get through to half his soldiers because Jinwu had taken control of the communication systems. The messages went where the young human wanted them to go, creating confusion and sending rescue teams to empty rooms. Misun's fear chemicals were starting to affect the alien defenders. They began seeing threats that were not there and jumping at shadows. Some reported that the humans were everywhere at once. Others claimed the intruders could walk through walls. The truth was simpler but more frightening. The humans were fighting the way they had learned to fight on Earth, where enemies were just as intelligent and dangerous as they were. They used psychology, misdirection, and superior planning to defeat opponents who were bigger and stronger. By the end of the day, half of Axiom Station was under human control. The 5 infiltrators had turned an impossible mission into a systematic conquest, using the aliens' own technology and psychology against them. The alarm sirens of Axiom Station screamed through every corridor. Red lights flashed on the walls, telling everyone that the fortress was under attack. General Thexival sat in his command center staring at reports that made no sense. 5 humans, he said to his officers. 5 small, weak humans have taken control of half my station. "Sir, they are not fighting like any enemy we have ever faced," his aide reported. "They do not try to destroy our defenses. They turn them against us instead." On the observation ship, Admiral Vextar was no longer laughing. He watched the screens showing the chaos inside Axiom Station. His yellow eyes were wide with confusion and growing fear. "This cannot be happening," he said. "Humans are supposed to be primitive. They have no advanced technology." "Maybe that is why they are winning," General Kethamore said quietly. "They do not need advanced technology. They use ours." Inside the station, Commander Hyun-Ki had made a decision. Hiding was no longer necessary. Now it was time to show the galaxy what human soldiers could really do. He stood in a main corridor where hundreds of alien guards could see him. He was not hiding anymore. His rifle was in his hands, but he was not shooting randomly like the aliens expected. Every shot he fired hit exactly what he aimed at. "There," an alien soldier shouted. "The human commander is in Section 12. 50 guards ran toward Hyun-Ki's position, their heavy footsteps shaking the metal floor. They carried energy weapons that could melt through armor. They wore protection that could stop most attacks. But when they reached Section 12, Hyun-Ki was not there anymore. Instead, they found Boram waiting for them with a smile that did not look friendly. "Looking for someone?" she asked. The guards raised their weapons to fire, but Boram was already moving. She dove through a ventilation grate that she had opened while they were running toward her. "The guards fired at empty air. Where did she go?" one of them shouted. "She is in the air vents," another replied. "Send drones to find her." But when they sent flying robots into the ventilation system, they found something that scared them more than a missing human. They found explosives placed at key points throughout the air system. Not bombs meant to kill people, but devices designed to fill the vents with smoke and noise. Boram had spent the last hour turning the station's own air system into a weapon. She could appear anywhere, anytime, through vents that the aliens had forgotten about. She could move through the station faster than they could track her. Meanwhile, Sergeant Tejo was giving the alien soldiers a lesson in human military tactics. He had learned these skills fighting other humans who were just as smart and dangerous as he was. Against aliens who had never faced an equal enemy, he seemed like a ghost made of violence. A squad of 20 alien warriors cornered him in what they thought was a dead-end corridor. They were trained fighters with years of experience conquering other worlds. They thought 20 against 1 would be easy. Tejo looked at them calmly and said, "You made a mistake." "What mistake?" their leader asked. "You are trapped." "You think this corridor is a trap for me," Tejo said. "But I led you here. This corridor is a trap for you." The ceiling above them exploded with smoke and noise. Jin Woo had placed charges in the support structure, not to hurt anyone but to create confusion. In the chaos, Tejo moved like he could see in the dark. He had studied the corridor before the fight began. He knew where every obstacle was, where every piece of cover could be found and how the smoke would flow through the air. The alien stumbled around blindly while he moved between them like a dancer. When the smoke cleared, all 20 alien warriors were unconscious on the floor. Tejo was gone, vanished into another part of the station where he would set up his next surprise. Corporal Mi-sun was fighting a different kind of war. She had released more of her chemical compounds into the station's air system. The aliens were breathing in substances that made them afraid and confused. But Mi-sun's real weapon was her understanding of psychology. She knew how different alien species thought and what scared them most. She used this knowledge to turn their own minds against them. Through the station's communication system, she broadcast sounds that hurt alien ears. She showed them images on their computer screens that made them feel sick and worried. She played recordings of human voices speaking in languages that no alien translator could understand. "What are they saying?" alien soldiers asked each other. "We do not know," their officers replied, "but it sounds threatening." The truth was that Mi-sun was playing recordings of humans singing children's songs and reading grocery lists. But to alien ears, the strange human voices sounded like magical spells or battle cries from a warrior culture. Fear spread through the station faster than any virus. Alien soldiers began reporting impossible sightings. They claimed the humans could walk through walls, appear in 2 places at once, and speak directly into their minds. None of this was true, but fear made it feel real. Mi-sun had turned their own imagination into her weapon. Private Jin Woo had found the station's central computer system. It was protected by security that was supposed to be impossible to break. Energy shields, password locks, and scanning systems that could identify any unauthorized user. But Jin Woo did not try to break the security. Instead, he became part of it. His virus programs had been learning about alien technology for hours. They had watched how the computers worked, copied their patterns, and learned to speak their electronic language. Now Jin Woo could talk to the alien systems like he was one of them. "Hello," he said to the central computer in electronic signals. "I am a new maintenance program. I am here to fix problems." The computer accepted him as a friendly helper. It gave him access to systems that were supposed to be secret. Jin Woo began downloading military plans, weapon designs, and strategic information that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. But he did more than just steal information. He began changing it. Supply orders were redirected to empty storage rooms. Patrol schedules were adjusted to send guards to places where nothing was happening. Emergency protocols were modified to create confusion instead of coordination. The station's own computer systems began working against the defenders, following Jin Woo's instructions instead of their original programming. General Thexval realized his fortress was falling apart from the inside. He sent his best soldiers to hunt down the humans, but they could not find enemies who seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. "How many humans are there?" he demanded. "Still just 5, sir," his aide replied. "That is impossible. They are attacking us in 20 different locations at once. Sir, I think they are not where we think they are. They are making us think they are in places where they are not." This was exactly what the humans were doing. They had turned the station's own systems into a weapon that created false reports and imaginary threats. The aliens were chasing shadows while the real humans moved freely through areas that were no longer being guarded. Boram appeared on a security camera in the north section of the station. Guards ran to find her, but while they were running north, she was actually in the south section, disabling weapons systems. Tejo's explosive charges went off in the east wing. Soldiers rushed to investigate, But Taeho was in the West Wing setting up his next surprise. Mi-sun's voice came through speakers in the central command area. Officers tried to trace the signal, but Mi-sun was not near any of the speakers. She was in a maintenance tunnel, preparing chemical compounds for her next psychological attack. Jin-woo appeared to be hacking computers on level 5. Technicians ran to stop him, but Jin-woo was on level 2, downloading more classified information. Hyun-ki seemed to be leading attacks in 4 different places. Soldiers split up to chase him, but Hyun-ki was in the one place they were not looking, walking calmly toward the central command center. The observers on the distant ship watched in growing horror as the impossible continued to happen. Their most secure fortress was being conquered by 5 humans who seemed to be able to be in multiple places at once. "They are using our own technology against us," Admiral Vextar said. His voice was quiet and scared. "How?" General Kethmore asked. "They do not understand our systems." "They do not need to understand them," Vextar realized. "They just need to make them do what they want." By the end of the day, Axiom Station was in complete chaos. The alien defenders were exhausted from chasing enemies they could not catch. Their weapons were turned against them. Their communications were compromised. Their computers were following human commands, and the 5 humans were preparing for the final phase of their mission. They had proven they could infiltrate the most secure fortress in the galaxy. They had shown they could turn alien technology against itself. They had demonstrated that human tactics could defeat any defense. Now they were ready to complete their real objective: stealing the military secrets that would give humanity the power to change the galaxy forever. The aliens who had laughed at them 3 days ago were no longer laughing. They were learning what it meant to fight against a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of war against equally intelligent enemies. The age of alien superiority was coming to an end. General Thexaval stood in his command center, watching his fortress fall apart around him. The screen showed chaos in every section of Axiom Station. His best soldiers were running in circles, chasing humans who seemed to appear and disappear like ghosts. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we are receiving a message from the observation ship. Admiral Vextar wants to know our status." "Tell him we are losing," Thexaval said quietly. "Tell him that 5 humans are destroying the most powerful fortress in the galaxy." On the observation ship, the alien leaders could no longer deny what they were seeing. The humans were not just infiltrating Axiom Station. They were systematically taking it apart like engineers who understood every component. "This changes everything," Admiral Vextar said. He was no longer the confident commander who had laughed at the humans 3 days ago. "If 5 humans can do this to our strongest fortress, what could 100 humans do? What could 1,000 do?" General Kethmore was studying the battle reports with growing fear. "They are not fighting randomly. Every attack serves a purpose. Every move brings them closer to their goal." "What goal?" Vextar asked. "We told them to disable the defense systems and reach the central command room." "I do not think that is their real goal," Kethmore said. "Look at what they are actually doing. They are not just breaking things. They are learning about everything." Inside the station, the 5 humans were indeed learning everything they could about Galactic Dominion military technology, but they were doing more than just studying it. They were preparing to steal it. Commander Hyun-ki had reached the central command center. He stood outside the massive doors that protected the station's most important computer systems. Dozens of guards blocked his way, armed with the most powerful weapons in the alien arsenal. "Human," the guard captain called out, "you are surrounded. Surrender now and we will kill you quickly." Hyun-ki smiled. It was not a cruel smile, but it was not friendly either. "I am not surrounded," he said. "You are." The guards looked around in confusion. They saw only one human facing all of them. Behind Hyun-ki was empty corridor. There was nowhere for reinforcements to come from. "You are alone," the guard captain said. "Am I?" Hyun-ki asked. At that moment, Boram dropped from an air vent directly above the guards. She landed silently behind them, moving like a cat. Before they could turn around, she had disabled 3 of them with strikes that targeted nerve points she had learned by studying alien biology. Taeho appeared from a maintenance shaft, emerging where the guards least expected him. His movements were precise and economical, wasting no energy on unnecessary actions. Each guard he fought was defeated with the minimum force required. Mi-sun came through a service door that the guards had forgotten existed. In her hands were devices that released chemical compounds directly into their breathing systems. The aliens fell unconscious before they realized they were being attacked. Jinwoo walked calmly down the main corridor, his electronic tools working on the door controls as he approached. The massive security doors opened for him like he had the proper authorization codes. The guard captain found himself alone, facing 5 humans who had appeared from different directions at the same time. He raised his weapon, but Hyun-ki was already moving toward him. "How?" the guard captain asked as Hyun-ki easily took his weapon away. "We planned this," Hyun-ki said simply. "We have been planning this since the moment we arrived." The truth was even more impressive than the alien realized. The humans had been planning this operation for much longer than 3 days. They had been preparing for exactly this kind of mission since they first made contact with galactic civilization. Every human diplomat who had visited alien worlds had been gathering intelligence. Every trade mission had been studying alien technology. Every cultural exchange had been learning about alien psychology and biology. Humanity had been preparing for war while pretending to seek peace. They had been studying their potential enemies while acting like grateful subjects. They had been planning conquest while appearing weak and harmless. Now, inside Axiom Station's central command center, the 5 humans began the real work they had come to do. Jinwoo connected his devices to the main computer system, but he was not just hacking into it. He was copying everything. Every military plan, every weapon design, every strategic document in the entire Galactic Dominion database. "This is incredible," he whispered as information flowed into his storage devices. "They have detailed plans for conquering every world in the galaxy, ship designs that could destroy planets, weapon specifications that could remake entire star systems." Boram was studying the fortress's construction plans, memorizing every detail of how the aliens built their defenses. She understood now why they thought their stations were impregnable. They had never planned for enemies who could think creatively. "All of their fortresses have the same weaknesses," she reported. "They rely completely on technology and never plan for psychological warfare." Taeho was reviewing alien military tactics and strategy. He read about how the Dominion had conquered hundreds of worlds, always using the same basic approach: overwhelming technological superiority. "They have never fought anyone who could match their intelligence," he said. "Every war they have won was against species that were less advanced or less organized." Misun was copying biological data about every alien species in the galaxy. She was learning about their weaknesses, their fears, and their psychological pressure points. "Each species has specific vulnerabilities," she reported. "Physical, mental, and emotional weaknesses that could be exploited in warfare." Hyun-ki was looking at the bigger picture, the overall structure of the Galactic Dominion, its political organization, and its strategic priorities. "They control the galaxy through fear and superior technology," he concluded. "But their system depends on other species believing they cannot be defeated. What happens when that belief is broken?" Boram asked. "Revolution," Hyun-ki said. "Every oppressed species in the galaxy will rise up against them." The humans worked for hours, copying decades of military intelligence. They learned about secret weapons projects, hidden military bases, and plans for future conquests. They discovered which alien species were allies and which were forced into submission. Most importantly, they learned that the Galactic Dominion was not as strong as it appeared. The Empire was held together by the belief that resistance was impossible. If that belief was shattered, the entire system would collapse. General Thexval finally decided to try something desperate. He activated the station's self-destruction system. If he could not stop the humans, he would kill them along with himself and his entire command. Warning lights flashed throughout the station. Computer voices announced that everyone had 10 minutes to evacuate before the fortress exploded. "Now what will you do, humans?" Thexval said over the communication system. "You cannot escape in time. You will die here with your stolen secrets." But Jinwoo was already working on the self-destruction system. His virus programs had been learning about the station's computers for hours. They knew how every system worked and how to control them. "Self-destruction canceled," the computer announced after 2 minutes. "System override complete." "Impossible," Thexval said. "The self-destruction system cannot be canceled once it is activated." "It can be if you know how to ask it nicely," Jinwoo said over the intercom. The young human had not just stopped the self-destruction sequence. He had taken complete control of the station's computer systems. Every door, every weapon, every life support system now answered to human commands. "Attention all personnel," Hyun-Ki announced through the station's speakers. "This is Commander Hyun-Ki of the Human Forces. Axiom Station is now under our control." The remaining alien defenders could not believe what they were hearing. 5 humans had conquered their most secure fortress and were now giving them orders. "All weapon systems are offline," Boram reported. "All communications except emergency channels are under our control. Defense shields are down," Taeho added. "The station is completely vulnerable to outside attack. All biological warfare countermeasures have been disabled," Mi-sun said. "The atmosphere can be modified at will. And I have copied every piece of classified information in their database," Jinwoo concluded, "including files they probably forgot they had." On the observation ship, the alien leaders sat in stunned silence. They had watched 5 humans accomplish something that should have been impossible with any size army. "They did not just complete the mission," Admiral Vextar said quietly. "They exceeded it in ways we never imagined." "What do we tell the High Command?" General Kethmore asked. "The truth," Vextar replied, "that we have made the greatest mistake in galactic history. We thought humans were primitives who could be controlled and used. Instead, they are the most dangerous military force the galaxy has ever seen. But they are so small, so weak, how can they be dangerous? Because they do not need to be big or strong," Vextar realized. "They just need to be smarter than their enemies. And they are much smarter than we ever imagined." The humans had proven something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Technology was not enough to guarantee victory. Superior numbers were not enough to ensure success. True military power came from intelligence, creativity. The War Council chamber looked very different from 3 days ago. The same purple lights hung from the ceiling, but the atmosphere had completely changed. The aliens who had laughed at the humans now sat in frightened silence. Commander Hyun-Ki walked into the room again, but this time he was not the object of mockery. Behind him came Captain Boram, Sergeant Taeho, Corporal Mi-sun, and Private Jinwoo. They looked exactly the same as before, but now everyone knew what they were truly capable of. Admiral Vextar stood at the center of the room, his 4 arms no longer crossed confidently over his chest. His yellow eyes showed fear and confusion. General Kethmore towered beside him, but his massive size no longer seemed impressive. The other alien commanders watched the humans with the respect that comes from witnessing impossible things. "You completed the mission," Vextar said. His voice was quiet and uncertain. "We exceeded the mission," Hyun-Ki corrected. "We did not just infiltrate Axiom Station and disable its defenses. We conquered it completely and stole your entire military database." The aliens looked at each other nervously. They had hoped that the humans had only accomplished part of their impossible task. Learning that they had taken everything was much worse. "What do you want from us?" Kethmore asked. "First, we want you to honor your agreement," Boram said. "You promised that if we succeeded, Commander Hyun-Ki would become your military advisor. And if we stole your military secrets, I would become head of your entire military," Taeho added, smiling his dangerous smile. The aliens had made these promises as jokes, never believing the humans could succeed. Now they realized they had accidentally offered to put their enemies in charge of their own forces. That was not a serious offer, Vextar said weakly. "It was witnessed by everyone in this room," Mi-sun pointed out. "Your own honor codes require you to keep promises made before witnesses." Jinwoo stepped forward, carrying a device that projected images in the air above the council table. "We have analyzed your military capabilities," he said. "We know the location of every base, every weapon, every ship in your empire." The images showed detailed maps of Galactic Dominion territories, with human notations marking weaknesses and strategic opportunities. The aliens realized that their enemies now knew them better than they knew themselves. "We also know about your secret weapons projects," Taeho said. "The planet-killing ships you are building in the Outer Rim, the biological weapons you are developing for use against rebellious species, and we know which of your subject species are planning revolts," Boram added. "We have the communications you intercepted and the intelligence reports you thought were secure." The aliens began to understand the full scope of what the humans had accomplished. They had not just stolen military secrets, they had gained complete strategic intelligence about the entire galaxy. "What are you going to do with this information?" Kethmore asked. That depends on you, Hyun-Ki said. You have two choices. You can try to suppress what we have learned and continue treating humanity as a subordinate species. Or you can accept the new reality. What new reality? Vextar asked, though he was afraid of the answer. The reality that humanity is not your subject, Misun said. We are your equals. And if you try to treat us otherwise, we will become your superiors. Jinwoo activated another projection, showing casualty estimates and battle simulations. We have analyzed what would happen if the Galactic Dominion went to war against humanity. Our conclusion is that you would lose. Impossible, an alien commander said. You have only one planet and a few ships. We have armies that span the galaxy. Numbers do not matter if you cannot use them effectively, Taeho explained. Your military tactics are designed to fight primitive species with inferior technology. They will not work against enemies who can think as well as you can. Boram stepped forward with another set of projections. We have identified 17 ways to disable your command structure, 43 methods for turning your own weapons against you, and over 100 psychological warfare techniques that would work on your various species. You have been studying us since first contact, Vextar realized. Every human diplomat was gathering intelligence, Hyun-Ki confirmed. Every trade mission was analyzing your technology. Every cultural exchange was learning about your weaknesses. While you saw us as primitive and harmless, we were preparing for exactly this moment, Misun added. The aliens finally understood the scope of human planning. For years, humanity had been conducting the most successful intelligence operation in galactic history, all while appearing weak and grateful for alien protection. But we do not want war, Hyun-Ki said. War is wasteful and destructive. We would prefer partnership. What kind of partnership? Kethmore asked. Equal partnership, Boram said. Humanity will share our tactical knowledge and strategic thinking with the Galactic Dominion. In return, you will treat us as equals and give us access to your advanced technology. Jinwoo projected new images showing improved military designs that combined human tactics with alien technology. Together, we could create the most effective military force the galaxy has ever seen. Our psychological warfare techniques could be adapted for your species, Misun offered. You could defeat enemies without having to destroy them. Our strategic planning methods could help you maintain control over your territory more efficiently, Taeho said. Less rebellion, less resistance, less waste of resources. And our tactical innovations could make your armies more effective against any threat, Hyun-Ki concluded. The alien leaders looked at the projections with growing interest. They could see that human methods really could improve their military capabilities, but they also understood that accepting this offer would mean admitting that humans were not inferior. What if we refuse? Vextar asked. Then we will share our intelligence with your enemies, Boram said calmly. Every oppressed species in the galaxy will learn exactly how to defeat you. The threat was clear and terrifying. The humans had enough information to destroy the Galactic Dominion by giving their secrets to rebels and rival powers. You would start a galactic war, Kethmore said. We would end a galactic tyranny, Taeho corrected. The choice is yours. The alien commanders talked among themselves in their various languages, but the humans understood enough to follow their discussions. They were realizing that they had no real choice. They could accept humanity as equals or face the collapse of their empire. After an hour of debate, Admiral Vextar turned back to the humans. We accept your terms, he said. Humanity will be granted equal status within the Galactic Dominion, and Commander Hyun-Ki will be appointed as strategic advisor to the High Command, Kethmore added reluctantly. With full authority to reorganize our military along human principles, Vextar concluded. The humans nodded their acceptance. They had achieved something that no other species had ever accomplished. They had forced the Galactic Dominion to treat them as equals through demonstration of superior capability. There is one more thing, Jinwoo said. We want other human advisors placed throughout your military structure. How many? Vextar asked. Enough to ensure that human tactical knowledge is properly implemented, Hyun-Ki said. I would estimate one human advisor for every 10 alien commanders. The aliens realized this would mean hundreds of humans in key military positions throughout their empire. But they also realized they had no choice but to accept. Over the following weeks, human advisors arrived at Galactic Dominion installations across the galaxy. Each one carried the same quiet confidence and calculating intelligence that had once been dismissed as weakness. Captain Boram was assigned to the Naval Command, where she revolutionized ship-to-ship combat tactics. Sergeant Tejo took over the Army Strategic Planning Division, implementing human methods of psychological warfare. Corporal Misun joined the Intelligence Service, where her understanding of alien psychology made her the most effective interrogator in the galaxy. Private Jinwoo became head of the Cyber Warfare Department, creating viruses and electronic weapons that could take control of any computer system. The other alien species in the galaxy watched these changes with growing hope. If humans could force the Dominion to treat them as equals, perhaps other species could achieve the same status. But the humans had learned something that made them unique among galactic civilizations. They had discovered that true power did not come from superior technology or larger armies. It came from superior thinking, better planning, and the ability to use an enemy's strengths against them. The Galactic Dominion remained powerful, but it was no longer the same empire that had conquered the galaxy through brute force. It was now guided by human intelligence and human tactical thinking. And in the shadows, humanity was already planning for the next phase of their long-term strategy. They had gained equality through demonstration of military superiority. Now they would work towards something even more ambitious, leadership of galactic civilization itself. The age of alien dominance was over. The age of human ascendancy had begun. The other species of the galaxy did not yet understand what this meant for them. But they would learn, just as the Dominion had learned, that underestimating humanity was the most dangerous mistake anyone could make in the end. The empire that had thought humanity's elite warriors were a joke